Day 10. I awoke to find Gary asleep in his chair at the window, rifle across his lap. The group outside has doubled to about 20. Some of them are now milling around in Gary's front yard after breaking through the fence. We discussed our options. Gary suggested we head to one of the military safe zones. Our closest one is just outside Portland. I'm hoping the shambling crowd will eventually go away. Electricity and water are still on, so that's good news. There's a lot of smoke visible over the city. I hear the occasional gunshot in the distance. We will be taking turns on watch again tonight. The horde, as we are now calling them, has slowly grown to about 30. Some of them have been banging against my front gate. Day 11. Something spooked the horde as they all became agitated, and a spine-shivering chorus of moans filled the night air. The group in the yard started pounding Gary's front door and windows. They managed to break the door down and are now milling about his living room. I finally saw the cause of all the commotion. Mittens, Mrs. Davies' cat, darted out from a bush and sprinted down the street. I woke up this morning to find the horde has now gathered around my house. I'm not sure how they can tell we are here. We both agree that we need to get out. Our plan is reckless and stupid, but we're getting more desperate by the minute. I've loaded the Jeep with everything I can. We are going to open the garage door and plow our way to freedom. Gary thought we might be able to create a distraction with his drone. A test flight proved ineffective, even after bouncing the thing off one of their heads. It felt weird standing in the hall of my home, getting ready to abandon it in fear for my life. How the hell did it come to this? Day 12. We're safe at a mall a couple of miles from my house. The initial plan went well. I opened the garage door to a surprised-looking bald man with a missing nose. I hit the gas and the Jeep plowed through the groaning mass of infected. We bounced over several bodies. One of them had managed to grab hold of the bonnet. The ghoul repeatedly smashed his fist against the windscreen, eventually cracking it. Gary managed to get his arm out the window and fired a couple of shots into the thing. It toppled under the Jeep, making a satisfying thud as we rolled over him. Driving through the neighborhood, the place was a disaster zone. I couldn't believe how bad it had gotten so quickly. Many buildings were on fire, while others showed signs of looting. Abandoned cars littered the road, some had smears of blood covering the windows. I nearly lost my breakfast after seeing a half-eaten arm just sitting on a car bonnet like a discarded sandwich. As we came to a junction, a car hit one of the infected at speed and went veering off the road. It careened straight into a lamp post with a crunch. The impact had crushed the door, preventing the woman inside from getting out. Within a few seconds, the car had 9 of the infected surrounding it. They pounded at the glass as the women screamed for help. I stopped the Jeep in the road, grabbing my carbine from the back seat. I told Gary to take the wheel and get ready to lure them away from the car once I started firing. I climbed onto the roof. Getting on one knee, I opened fire on the growing horde. It took me a few rounds to get my aim, but they soon started dropping like flies. The sound of the rifle was drawing more towards us from the surrounding streets. I jumped from the roof, having cleared a path, and ran to the car. Smashing the driver's window with the butt of the rifle, I helped the woman from the vehicle. We managed to get back to the Jeep as I fired a few rounds into the infected that had closed in on us. Gary sped down the road, but it was impossible to move at speed as the road was littered with hundreds of infected, all coming alive at the sound of our engine. There were rows of cars just abandoned in the middle of the road. Gary had to mount the pavement as he plowed through a group of 5. Another one clung to the hood, managing to smash loose a corner of the windscreen. A round from my pistol sent him tumbling onto the tarmac. Gary stopped the Jeep in the road, pointing to a mall across the road. A group of people on the roof were waving at us. We agreed that carrying on down the highway was a death sentence, and he crossed the street into the parking lot of the mall. Looking in the rear-view mirror, I could see the horde following us. As we approached the barricaded building, the people on the roof threw down a rope ladder. As Gary and the woman made their way up, I fired off a few rounds at the shambling mass headed in our direction. Day 13. Our rescuers turned out to be 3 people. Mike and Ann Taylor are a local married couple. Mike works for an insurance company, while Ann is a school teacher. Sam Hudson is a large African American with a strong handshake. He works as a delivery driver. It turns out the mall had been looted in the first couple days of unrest. It has been securely boarded up ever since. The woman we rescued from the car is Emma Robbins, an attractive blonde in her late 20s. She works as an account manager for a software company. She had also found her home surrounded by the infected. She'd watched from a first-floor window as one of her neighbors had tried to escape, only to be torn to pieces.